Hey guys, good evening. Sorry, running late. My apologies to Pizza Racer. I know it's 2 a.m. and I'm here procrastinating. Sorry about that. I'm having another interesting couple of days in IRL, so I'm gonna lower the volume here. And welcome to my Best Losses Monday again. Hey Orsito, it's very good to see you. Hello Hedgehog, it's very good to see you. Pizza Racer, Drunk Pyro. Welcome to another edition of my Best Losses Monday. Tonight I'm gonna actually share my match with Maria Emelianova photo chess that I played yesterday, and I have also a couple of program announcements to make. We have reached a firm commitment from Openfield Media that the arenas on Saturday are going to become a permanent fixture on this channel. At some point they may switch to Openfield Media channel. For now they're going to be on Nicholas Stojan channel. So that includes cash prizes. It's Saturdays at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. The following one, it's going to be on 3+0 time control, and I think we're going to increase the length of the arena to 90 minutes. And prizes for the winner are 100 for the first place, 50 and 25 for second and third respectively. That's now firm commitment on this. We're looking forward to having more of those. In addition to that, if you want to join the arena, !arena will give you the information. You will need to join the OFM club. The link is in the chat if you want to join. Also, this week marks the start of a new streaming series with Elizabeth Bachts. As you guys know or heard, maybe may or not, Anna Rudolph and I needed to stop our collaboration because Anna Rudolph's regular schedule of streams is basically too busy, and we cannot continue. So it's being replaced by a new stream series called Nicholas Studies Chess with International Master Elizabeth Bachts. If you watched her series with Maria Emelianova, you will find out that she is actually an awesome coach, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with her. Yes, Latino Blonde, that's Miss Messi. Furthermore, starting this Friday, I'm gonna start yet another coaching series with !Alex. It's basically chess-based lesson with Alex, with International Master Alexander Lopez. Alex Lopez has been my off-stream coach for some time, and I think we decided that we're gonna start Friday series. One of our weekly lessons we're gonna stream. I think we're gonna stream it on both channels or just my channel. And yes, Pizza Racer, Liz is a tough coach. Her session with Maria was taxing. Frankly, my lessons with Anna Rudolph were quite taxing as well, and it was basically pretty tough. But you need a tough coach to succeed. At least that's the common wisdom. Anyway, lastly. On Sunday, I'm going to be playing an adoption match with International Master Danny Rensch, who I don't think I can needs an introduction. Basically, Danny had a series that's called Adopt Danny, and we decided that we're gonna collaborate in which. For a match in which he would be doing the adoption. It's tentatively scheduled for this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm very looking forward to it. He's probably going to be one of my toughest opponents, and we will see how well that goes. I'm definitely very much looking forward to that match. Okay, so much for program announcements. You can tell quite a lot of interesting series. And I also plan, once hopefully my life, gets... oh, thank you, Vincent Adolfo. Very greatly appreciate the raid. His raiding was the party of 4. Thank you so much. Welcome, Vincent. Thank you. Yes, he's going to say Fork Town Population U if he can. I think he is actually looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you, Pizza Racer. I'm probably going to try to squeeze in one more stream series that will deal specifically with tactics, and that's a result of the match I played with Maria Emelianova yesterday. Very frankly, it was an interesting match in a sense that for me, Maria is a tough opponent because although I'm actually higher rated than her, she has the classical Russian school in her background, and she's very adept at tactics, which is unfortunately one of my weak spots here. So anyway, without much ado, I would like to show you a couple of games. And hey, nice Suzia, thank you for the follow. That's very greatly appreciated. Thank you. Blade Cup, vreme kad days, she's basically, ta vremena su za mene prošla, brate, ja sam srećno oženjen, ima 20, ima, boga mi 22 godine, prema tome, that's the long past tense. That's the school when they shoot your kneecaps if you lose, you can say that, yes, it's definitely a tough school. And anyway, so, to look at the match overall, it was a very strange match in a sense that, I lost the match 5-4, but and I didn't play that badly. In fact, I have some absolutely perfect games in there. I mean, there is one game where you have like something like 99.3% accuracy, which is absolutely crazy. Another with a 98%. Maria has a 98% accuracy. But the problem there is that those games were followed by games in which, like in this one, I have a 49.5% accuracy, and then I have 24% accuracy, and so on. Hey, Chesnoob, it's very good to see you. And Dragpyre, I don't think that Yekaterinburg, which is where Maria lives, is actually in Siberia. I think it's right behind the Ural Mountains, so technically it's not Siberia per se. Anyway, so let me show you a couple of games, couple of losses that I think are very instructive for this. Maria played basically. We contested 2 openings. We contested Scotch defense, and we contested Sicilian. This is the very first game of the match in Sicilian, and it's a Chelyabinsk variation, or how we want to call it. And very frankly, I alternated various approaches to playing it against it as white, and I really couldn't find my comfort zone in this particular variation. Anyway, so basically E5, here they call it Kalashnikov. I remember it being called Chelyabinsk. It has several names. Bottom line, in this variation of Sicilian, black makes a pawn trust at E5 and is willing to contest the D5 field here to concede it to white and create a permanent weakness, but in exchange has a very great piece play and also a potential center. And if black manages to push d5 in this position, black is definitely better. It's a fairly tricky variation, and it was, I was reasonably booked up on it. However, I wasn't really, I was outside of my comfort zone in this throughout the match. C4, after knight b5 and d6 is one way of handling it, which is basically means you're gonna play something along the lines of Marozzi bind, and then a6 is basically a normal move. Knight c3, returning the knight, is the best. Knight f6, bishop g5, and here, you know, bishop e7. Obviously here it's tempting to play knight d5, but that's a well-known trap because the black can take on d5 and take on e7 with a knight. And I have to admit that even to this day, if I'm tired and I play a bullet game, I forget about that trick, stupid as it may seem. So bishop f6 is, I think, is the best move in this position. Bishop f6, knight d5, and you can see that basically the struggle in this game is gonna turn around the d5 field, and also whether white is able to sustain the permanent presence of the knight in that there. All right, so castles, knight c3, bishop e6, all normal moves, bishop e2, g6, which is an interesting move, and it's actually not one of those moves that computer favors. The normal move in this position is to play bishop g5. And here is one problem that I normally have in these adoption matches, and you know, this wasn't an adoption match, but I played as an adoption match. Bishop e2 is actually a fairly significant imprecision, and I'll explain why. Normal idea here is to put the bishop on d3, and then if bishop g5, which is a very common move, to at some point play h4, and the reason black you need bishop on d3 as opposed to e2 is because after bishop h4, white has queen h5, and basically black is toast. I have to admit to not being on top of my game and playing bishop e2 here in this line. Hello, what up? Thank you for the follow, that's very greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Anyway, so after this g6, I took on f6, which is the best move, queen f6, and then immediately put another knight on d5. Hey, Opex Prime, thank you for the follow. That's very nice of you. That's very greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right. So for those of you who has just joined us, this is my best losses Monday. I'm analyzing the losses from my match with Maria Emelianova Photo Chess, who, let me give Maria a shout out, who is a great friend of this channel, and also a friend. Anyway, so please give her a follow if you already haven't done so. Anyway, so after knight d5, this is a position in which computer considers black to be slightly better. I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. I think if white has all opportunities to consolidate its position, and this pawn on d6 is basically a permanent weakness. And all right, so Maria played queen g5, which is a topical move, and after g3, which is actually a slight imprecision, h4 was a better move, for the very simple reason that black cannot play queen g2 because bishop f3 traps the queen. And the fact that I actually missed this indicates that, very frankly, I wasn't, I don't want to say warmed up sufficiently, but I wasn't on top of my game in this particular game. Anyway, so after g3, which is still perfectly fine, bishop h3 is a good game. Hey, Jorge Vozdanina, thank you for the follow, that's very greatly appreciated. Welcome to Nicola's channel. Anyway, so after bishop h3, which is a tricky move because it prevents white from castling, I played queen d2, which is a perfectly fine move, and then king d2. And here is why I'm showing you game and why I'm showing this, and why I also think that this match shows one of the recurrent problems in my game. Maria went for a very simple fork, which is bishop g2, which actually is a losing move, for the very simple reason that after rook g1, and she took on bishop on e4, yours truly, for reasons that frankly I am still struggling to explain to myself, knight f6 is a simple fork that captures the bishop on e4, and basically white is then winning. I didn't see it, and if there is one topic that characterizes my play in this match, is that I have missed quite a lot of one move tactics, both attacking and defending, and if I would have easily won the match if I was able to see this. Please don't ask me why I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And Pizza Racer, I'm quite sure you saw it. And I don't know, it's not a very difficult fork to see. It's not a very difficult fork to, play. It's just, a moment of temporary blindness. It might be the concentration problem, but I think the real problem here, and I'll keep showing you more games, is that it indicates incomplete assimilation of a basic patterns. Yeah, exactly. If it was a puzzle, you would see it, but noticing these things without knowing there is something to look for is a lot harder than people think. And that's exactly right. And I think one thing that I absolutely need to work, and one gets rattled. Hey, 2511, it's very good to see you. Just a quick shout out to True, but the thing is, I have discovered that I miss similar tactics even in a longer time frame. It's, I think, a failure of concentration, or it's a failure of, if you want, it's an incomplete assimilation of tactics. And here is another thing that I wanted to point out, and I almost wanted to use this as an example to illustrate a concept. I have, and this may be not the most brilliant conclusion in the history of the universe, I've reached the conclusion that practicing tactics is hey, Raul Chess 77, welcome for the follow, very greatly appreciated. Thank you for joining us. I think that tactics are a skill that you absolutely need to practice to improve on a regular basis, like every day for, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes or something else, until it's fully assimilated, and even then one needs to practice. Oh, thank you. Hello, what up? Yeah, I'm glad to hear. My English is far from being excellent, but I think it's understandable. After all, I've been living in the US for 25 years. I remember when I was playing clarinet, and I graduated from high school in music many decades ago, and my instrument was clarinet. Hey, Melisen, thank you, 123839. That's very glad to hear. Thank you. That's very greatly appreciated, and means a lot to hear some praise like that. I think that actually I can understand Russian 2511. I can read Russian, but I cannot speak Russian. Hey, Talal Jad, hello, welcome to the channel. I think when I played clarinet in music school, we had this exercise in which you literally had to sustain a note. In other words, you would grab the instrument and you would literally have to play the same note, sustain the note for as long as you could. Normally it would be 45 seconds or something similar to that. And no, 2511, I grew up in Belgrade. I'm originally Serbian. Thank you. So what happened in sustaining the note, and you had to do it as a part of your general practice every day, and for some reason that translates into one's ability to stay in a beautiful timbre while playing clarinet. This match yesterday led me to believe that basically the same applies in chess to tactics and tactics patterns. It's a skill that kind of needs to be renewed and basically needs to practice every day, otherwise you're going to end up with moments of blindness. I'm very tempted, and I'm going to actually announce this or one way or another on my Discord. I may, and here is a link to my Discord if anybody wants, please join it. I think I'm going to start, focusing more on doing tactics with absolute regularity every day and see where it goes after 2 or a couple of months, because I think that's a skill that needs to be renewed, and that's a skill that is primary cause for being rusty in chess. So anyway, we'll find out. I'll let you know. I may even have another stream series that basically it would be called something like Tactics Tuesday or Tactics Thursday or something like that, in which I would just practice tactics on stream. Anyway, so to cut a long story short, I didn't see this, and then I played f3, which is obviously a blunder, bishop 95, 95, 94, and then what basically happened was as usually happens, I actually saw the tactics I missed, about 2 seconds after I made the wrong move, and then I basically played the rest of the game somewhat salty, and then obviously I made another blunder that overlooked a simple tactics, and that was the end of the game. The issue really here is that this is a pretty horrible game to look at. It's a horrible game because, I basically, this position is probably already lost. It's safe to assume that it's already lost. But it would still require a bit of technique for Maria to win it. Me playing a4 was just a needless blunder. Me not seeing the fact that bishop e4 falls to fork on f6 is probably a little bit inexcusable for someone who aspires to be the titled player, which is myself. Hey Halvard, very good, thank you. Thank you for joining the stream. It's very good to see you. I'm showing some games from my match yesterday against Maria Emelianova. And true, it's one's mindset is very important, not mere chess skill. It also illustrates that, very frankly, we are all subjects to lapses in form and so on. So I'm probably gonna, and I'm gonna announce it on Discord. Frankly, my IRL has been acting up lately, so I'm gonna see when I can find time to do Tactics Tuesday or Tactics Thursday. I think I need to practice tactics on a regular basis, and streaming it might be a good way to incentive. Problem really is, to be very frank with you, and this is a very a full admission. When I was playing clarinet, I positively hated doing these, sustaining the note for a long periods of time, which is really basically means not playing anything, just playing a single tone, and you're supposed to do it for 45 minutes or an hour every day. I don't really enjoy, practicing tactics, which is probably one of the reasons why in the games like this, I ended up missing simple, patterns like this. So maybe streaming tactics might be one way of, inducing myself to do them. And to be very frank, there is also one thing that I need to admit: how much I hate practicing tactics or playing or sustaining the tone. And one of these days I'm gonna find you a YouTube video that illustrates what that what that means on a clarinet. I couldn't find it for this stream. I hate losing games like this. This was a perfect opportunity to translate a game that was not very well played into winning column. And I would be absolutely devastated if I did this in a game that actually were to determine some sort of you know, whether I get a title or a position in a tournament and so on. Anyway, and what's also somewhat frustrating is that, and I'm going to show you the next game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is basically illustrates, if you look closer, this is pretty horrible accuracy on Maria's part. It's not that good even on my part. Hey Davina, welcome to the stream. It's very good to see you. Let me give a shout out to Davina. Her Twitch handle is Twitch Let's Go. Please give her a follow and subscribe. She has a very interesting streams. I'm going to show you the next game, which is you know, it's a fairly short game, and it's a short game in which I've ended up with a completely one position, but it's a one position with an asterisk. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, takes on d4, takes, as Hikaru would say, and then knight c6, takes on c6, b takes c6, a5, e5. All of this is perfectly well known, all of this is theory, all of this is reasonably common. And all of this is, incidentally, this particular variation I prepared for Dina. I didn't prepare for Maria, and I struggled in this game to remember the continuation. But all of this is very much book, and it's very much theory. Knight d5, c4, bishop a6. I have played quite a few games. This is multiple pins. It's a normal theory. Bishop b3 is also a normal move. Basically, white is preparing to activate the bishop on a3 or preferably b2. This is incidentally one of the variations of Scotch that Dina Belenkaya plays this. Hey, Yusuf24, welcome to the stream. It's very good to see you. You know, the book move here is g6, and here is the interesting thing here that, you know, after bishop a3, the standard move is, and I'm actually going to show you this. After ba3, which looks like a tricky move, you know, there are multiple good options here for black. The best option is d6, and white really doesn't have anything here, because if it takes here, queens are exchanged, takes on d6, and black actually ended up having a fairly decent structure on top of it. Which is worse for white is there is also bishop g7 with a threat against the rook of a1. We will not be broken. I go to Serbia. We will not be broken is asking me if I'm thinking about returning to Serbia. Before COVID, I go to Serbia a few times every year, and I travel extensively throughout Europe, and I stop there. But returning would mean uprooting my spouse, and it's probably not likely. Anyway, so basically, to go back to the game, g6 is a normal move. Maria played f4, which is actually the best move in this position. I played d6, which actually, although computer, this version of Stockfish likes it, I think bishop g7 is actually more precise. Anyway, after bishop b2, bishop g7, you will discover that this is, you know, if we were to look at the accuracy from both sides, I think we would both have something crazy probably in 20, 99.5 range. This is all theory. And then queen d2 is the first significant inaccuracy on either sides. Hey Luigi, 1587, it's very good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Because the problem is that it opens up the white king, but also the difference between this move is, you see, where the c pawn to move, and there are some variations in which it is moved because the book is c5 and take on f1. Black is forced to take with a rook or a king, and and if the queen is on f2, white has an option of taking with a queen and being able to castle. Anyway, but so I didn't find that continuation. I played knight f6, which is a cute move, but it's a slight imprecision in this position. In other words, this is the first step away from book into theory. Bishop e2, it's an interesting move. White is threatening to take on d6, and white is also threatening to finally castle. I took on e5, which is the best move, took on e5. I played knight d7, which is a perfectly fine move. I still think that. Computer prefers a switch and took rook d8. And this is, this position is fine. Maria played e6, which is a tricky move, but it's not really a very big threat because black has knight e5, so any tactics that deal with the pin on e1 after castle really do not come into play with knight e5, and black is able to sustain that knight e5 throughout the position. The problem here is that if you look at this, I have spent almost a whole minute taking on e5, and all of a sudden, after playing knight d7, I've discovered, I find myself basically here. I'm only down to 30 seconds. And that's a show of insecurity about the position, which, given that up to 2 moves ago we were playing all theory, is actually, frankly, pretty disappointing from my standpoint. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Maria made an error in this position. The best move here is to simply castle. And if you look closer, it's, white has a slightly imbalanced position because he can take on e6, but, until the king is not really safe until it castles, there is a pressure on f7, there's pressure on e5, there is a pressure on f7. In exchange for pawn, white does have a fairly significant initiative and also a significant lead in development. This bishop on a6 also is a bit awkwardly placed as long as the pawn is here on c4. Anyway, what Maria ended up playing is she took on f7, I took with a queen, which is the best move, and then rook f1 is a fairly significant error. Yes, yes, Bilbich, it's an incredibly messy position for blitz, and frankly, I was pretty uncomfortable in this position. It's hard to play such a position with, with only 12 seconds left. Anyway, so I played queen d7, and queen d7 is a perfectly fine move, but it misses again a fairly simple tactics, which is, the computer variation wants us to play queen e6, and there are some nasty discovered checks here from the knight. Also, this bishop on b2 is is in danger because there is a danger of rook knight d3. Also, there is a threat of rook d8, and that queen really doesn't have a very good field. But it's a very messy position, with 2 seconds left to play. So, I didn't see it. I didn't even consider queen e6. And what I ended up playing instead was basically a bullet move, queen d7, which misses the win. And then queen on a5 is actually a significant blunder, because there is knight d3, after which bishop on b2 falls. And but it's 2 seconds, and as everybody who has watched this channel is old and slow, and by the time I got myself together to play the move, I flagged in this position. I am bluntly this was the second game of the match, and after this game, the score became 2-0. The match was, I thought, best of 5. It's actually 2-5 wins as it transpired, but it ended up being a game that I'm still a little bit upset, because I played well, but I played with some sort of lack of focus, for lack of a better term, and I'm sorry here for psychoanalyzing myself on stream. Anyway, interestingly enough, I then played one of the I won the game 3, I won the game 4. Game 3 had basically Maria fell into a prepared variation in Sicilian, and I was able to win that game very, very quickly, very effectively. But the issue here is, and this is another thing I wanted to point out, I think, I've played 19 adoption matches. I think that adoption matches as a format are great, but they have become a little bit of a hindrance, because if in an adoption match, if you're defending against adoption, you can allow to relax, you can allow to have a careless game, and this is basically a careless game. A game that I showed you before was also a little bit of a careless game. You can have a warm-up game. I'm worried that it's going to become a problem if I ever were to place any kind of serious tournament. So I'm going to continue play adoption matches, but I need to make sure that doesn't become a pattern that I used for all my matches, because it's going to be very counterproductive. Anyway, thank you, Bill. That's very greatly appreciated. Anyway, so I'm going to show you one more game here, and it's a game that we contested Sicilian several times, and we switched variations. I actually purposefully switched variations a couple of times, even after a game that I have won. And it's illustrative of several games. You see, this move order has one advantage. It allows white to basically force Adam's attack. And Adam's attack is this h3 Sicilian, and I've played this plenty of times. Forget what computer says. It's based on h3, g4, bishop g2, and basically white uses the bishop of g2 to control d5 and control center to reinforce the e4 pawn. And it needs to be done fairly quickly. It doesn't work in quite a few variations of Sicilian, because playing h3, g4, bishop g2 requires 3 moves, 3 tempi, which you may or may not have in every position in Sicilian. So basically, knight f6, book move, g4. That's actually, computer doesn't even consider it a book move. It is a book move. Queen a5 is actually a little bit of imprecision, because it allows me to play bishop g2 and basically achieve my concretely the position that's Adam's attack that's favorable for white. Anyway, after e5, knight f5 is a topical move, and takes. Computer prefers gf5, but I prefer this because it opens up the diagonal for the white bishop, and it also allows white to control d5 and e4 with pieces. And it also opens the e file for some potential f4 thrust and so on and so forth. Anyway, after bishop e7, g5, knight d7, we castle short, rook b8, and here is one, computer consider this position basically +3 for white, and I think that's a slight exaggeration, but this position is definitely better for white on multiple levels because these pawns are already well advanced. Black is struggling to develop, honestly, and castling into face of these pawns is a little bit tricky, but and for somebody who likes to attack, and I'm definitely among those, this is a very, very, very beautiful position. Problem here, this is another thing that I'm going to use this match to illustrate, is that what I did next was a fairly impatient move. This is queen h5, which really was an unnecessary move. Or it was aggression too soon. Playing something along the lines of knight d5 first, or even playing bishop e3, and preparing aggression a little bit longer would probably have been better, because black here really doesn't have much in terms of a counterplay. b5 is not very useful if white king is on the king side. And these knights are actually misplaced, and these pawns cannot be advanced. Normally, black tries to advance d5 and e4 in this position if white hopes for any kind of advantage. Anyway, so I played queen h5, and after knight d4, which is the best move, I played bishop d5, which is a perfectly fine move, g6, takes, and then queen g4. And this is actually a fairly good position for white. You can almost say that it is very close to being won, for the very simple reason that, both knight and bishop and queen are perfectly positioned to attack the black king. That black king doesn't really have much in terms of pawn protection. And these knights and these bishops are basically only two pieces that are defending the king. Maria played knight c2, which may or may not be the best move, and here is where yours truly actually lost this game, and why I'm showing you this game. And I'm going to go back to the earlier position. If this queen h5 was a little bit hasty and basically surrender lots of advantage, after knight c2, all white needed to do to maintain a completely won position was to play rook b1. Okay, we have sacrificed the pawn, but we haven't sacrificed any other material, and we can actually continue to attack with some patience, and black would be hard pressed to avoid any kind of attack. Hey Atex, thank you for the follow, that's very greatly appreciated, thank you so much. So in other words, patience here would have been justified. I have to admit that very frankly, in real life and in chess even more so, I'm not exactly patient, so I played queen e6, which is basically a losing blunder, because it forces white to mate the black king, because after knight a1, black has its whole rook to the better. And throughout this match, I have been rather impatient, and and Maria actually made me pay for this in this game, and actually in other games as well. So I played Queen F7, which is the best move, then Rook King D8, and here, I had an option to play Bishop E4, and Bishop E4 would basically first trap the knight on A1, but more importantly, it would create a genuine threat of putting the knight on D5, and then there is a question mark where this bishop is going to go. From D5, knight can go to F6. There is an option to play F4, and so on and so forth. In other words, there will be a very significant counterplay in the attack would probably have been very close to being decisive in this position. I didn't play it, so I played knight e4 because I assumed that I would be able to, take on d6, play bishop e6, and and play maybe bishop, queen g7 to displace the rook, and so on and so forth. I frankly thought that I had a winning attack, and having only 20 seconds, I played this a little bit on the field, didn't have time to make any kind of long calculation. So after rook f8, which is the best move, and give Maria credit, her defense, with one exception, has been really excellent. Queen h7 is another inaccuracy. Anyway, after queen d5, I'm now down 2 pieces. Queen g6 is a desperation move, and here is the best part of this. Let me just go through the moves, because this is plus 10 for black. Also, there is only 7 seconds left for white. Takes, and then after knight c2, I played g6. And would you believe that in this position, the evaluation of the game, and I'm going to actually show you this report, went from, what is the evaluation now? Evaluation now is -10, went from there to +8, and then went back to -12. So what happened here was that, Maria played rook g8, and here is a puzzle rush question. White moves and wins. Obviously, the pawn on g6 is pinned. This is so queen cannot be taken. It's a very cute move, but white have bishop g5, which is a check, and it also unpins the pawn, and then after bishop g5, then king can go to c8 or wherever. This is now completely one position for white. I'm gonna be very frank with you guys. I'm not salty about many of the games. I'm actually not salty about most of the games I play about these matches. This was not such a hard tactic to stop. It should have been possible for me to see it. And the fact that I didn't spot it, granted I had 8 seconds, I have to admit that I'm a little bit upset with myself, to be very honest with you. And hey, ever minded, my friend, welcome to the stream. I have won quite a few games. I have won 4 games against Maria. 2 of them were basically she playing into my opening preparation, and I basically winning that with based on my preparation. 2 games that I won were also based on me being able to outplay her in drawn end games and stuff like that. But I am, and this is me being salty, so forgive me, this is gonna come to be, if I am salty here, I'm sick and tired of not spotting tactics like those. I'm like this one. I'm not saying that this is the easiest tactic to spot. It's difficult, but it should have been spotted. And, you know, also, let me go back to this, you know, the very first game I showed here. You know, this particular tactics, simple knight f6, simple fork, should have been spotted. And yes, seven-handed, I know this. It's, you know, that should have been spotted. You know, I can. You know, the second game is a different thing. It's basically me spending too much time on trying to recall opening preparation in my match against Dina. So, to cut a long story short, I hate doing tactics, if you guys haven't already noticed, but I have made a rather firm decision that however much I hate doing tactics, I even more hate losing games like these. And God knows, playing against stronger players than myself, and you know, I have lost so many games. I had a game that I completely outplayed Ana Muzichuk in the opening. I had +7 position, and then I blundered a simple mate in 2. That was as obvious or anything. So, starting one day this or next week, I am going to start a new stream series that's going to be called Tactics Tuesday or Tactics Thursday. I haven't yet decided on the name. And I am going to start focusing on to not, you know, reducing my one move blunders. And you guys will have the opportunity to see how well that goes. Anyway, bottom line, this was a very instructive match for me. I'm gonna try next Sunday not to get adopted against Danny Rensch, which is gonna be pretty interesting because he is actually one of the strongest opponents I have faced to date. I think he and Karina Bretsumova were about the same strength. So I'm looking forward to that match, and you know, if I get adopted, I'm gonna be fine with that. But it is what it is. All right, that's and apologies for the very short stream tonight. I'm still having a little bit of IRL tail end, so I need to tend to that. I am going to stream again on. I'm going to actually pull up the upcoming command. I'm looking forward to my initial session with the International Master Elizabeth Pecht. That's on Wednesday. And my inaugural session with Alex, we're going to give it a try. And there will be very soon another open field media arena. It will be on Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So very much looking forward to it. Who do you want me to raid, Luigi? Okay, I'm gonna raid the Apprentice. I trust Luigi's judgment. Let's see, let's do that. So thank you guys, thank you for being here with me. And I'm looking forward to my, no, that's not, hold on. So I'm looking forward to Mirigo stream with Ali. That is going to prove to be an even bigger torture than the sessions I have with Anna Rudolph. Anyway, so Apprentice is streaming chess. Give her a shout and a follow. I trust Luigi's judgment, and I'm gonna see you guys on Wednesday. It's early morning New York time, 7 a.m., but it's 1 p.m. Central European time. So looking forward to that first training session with Elizabeth Pecht, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, yeah. Well, sadly, Pizza Racer, it is what it is. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. no.